This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head, and over the wall. Do you believe that?
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Ramirez with a drive to deep right, away back, gone.
Go Hayes gets a bomb out there by the Rocks. And boy, oh boy, this third inning is now showtime.
It is a Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to spin rates to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a little A's baseball here on A's Cast, coming your way in 2 hours. I know right now you are looking at the 2023 promotional schedule. I just want to comment, keep it up there, Cody, that this may be, now all of them are great, all of them. But looking at one in particular, maybe one of the best ones we've ever done. Now, obviously, the bobblehead's cool. Jackie Robinson hat's cool. You want your Bret Hart 80s knockoff Oakley-looking Viper, whatever they are.
Pit Viper.
Pit Viper. Is that really their name?
I believe so. I don't know. I'm not hip. I'm 34 years old now.
Those aren't hip. Those are not even 80s. Those are 90s.
Yeah. First of all,
wasn't Bret Hart the
don't
90s?
You dare crap on the great Hall of Famer Bret Hart.
Wasn't Bret Hart the 90s?
Yes, late 80s, early 90s.
This is 90s, man. All right, whatever. The A's Hawaiian shirt may be one of the coolest things we've ever given away. This might be up there with my Supercuts barbecue set. This is way before your time, Cody. We've given out some cool stuff over the years. This might be by far the best one. I think the A's Hawaiian shirt is going to be super cool. Super cool. All right, put us on screen. I love it. I mean, Hawaiian shirts to the ballpark. Are you kidding me? That's a no-brainer. I got a ton of Hawaiian shirts. You know, there was that Hawaiian shirt phase. Everybody had it. I got a ton of Hawaiian shirts. I don't wear them anymore. But I tell you what, an A's Hawaiian shirt, I'm definitely down.
I'm going to find the exact date on that giveaway.
Because think about that. I love wearing Hawaiian shirts. I mean, the only time to do it vacation, whether you're in Hawaii or Mexico or whatever. Now rolling to the ballpark in an A's Hawaiian shirt. David Don has a couple long time employee, David Don of the Oakland A, a great Oakland A, as we like to say, has multiple Hawaiian shirts.
June 18th, Sunday, June 18th. Is that Father's Day? I think it might be Father's Day. It is. It's Father's Day. Father's Day, June 18th, against the Philadelphia Phillies.
The Fightins are in town?
You can get, all early arriving fans can get the A's Hawaiian shirt giveaway. Sunday, June 18th. Get your tickets, athletics.com/tickets. Don't forget, May 4th, the Mark Kotsay Mandalorian bobblehead.
May the 4th be with you.
Wow, look at you.
Well, Bryce Harper, buying or selling. We'll get back to buying or selling at some point, the greatest game show and streaming.
I put it up there. There's the Mando bobblehead giveaway.
Will by, not May 4th, but by June 18th, will the great Bryce Harper be back for the Philadelphia Phillies? I'm probably selling. That's a pretty early date for him, as they're saying midsummer. Midsummer to me usually means, around July-ish, not the 4th, but a little bit after the 4th, because we're technically, once we start getting into early July, aren't we past the halfway point? The halfway point is not the All-Star break. 81 games in, we'll be probably right at the beginning of July.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's been anything from spring training about when he could return, but I don't. Wait, hold on. Bryce Harper ahead of schedule and return from Tommy John.
I'm just not betting on it, but I would love to see it, right? This is the thing about everybody playing everybody, is that you're going to get a chance to see the best players in the sport. Everybody gets to see it. And that's something that, Bryce Harper is one of the best guys in our sport. I want to see him. He's a great player. The Phillies, who should be good. I mean, you don't know. Quite a few teams go to the World Series, lose the World Series, and then stink the next year. So we'll see if how that will work. But yes, Hawaiian shirt, May the 4th, and the Mandalorian bobblehead doll. Maybe I'll need to start watching the Mandalorian on Disney Plus, because as a person who will be celebrating Father's Day because I have kids, maybe I do need to go to old Disney Plus and check out the Mandalorian.
You already have it, right?
Of course I have it.
So there you go. 3 seasons.
Are you kidding me?
Well,
I've got everything. I got Hulu, Netflix. I got it, and I don't watch really any of it. The kids and the wife do. I've got every subscription you could possibly have.
May 4th against the Mariners. It's 12:37 game. Mark Kotze Mandalorian theme.
That is pretty sweet.
Athletics.com/promotions to see all of our promotions. Athletics.com/tickets to get your tickets for this game. The Hawaiian shirt giveaway. I almost said barbecue. Hawaiian shirt giveaway June 18th against the Phillies on Father's Day. Other giveaways like the Tony Kemp poster. There's the Pit Viper glasses. There's for some reason, I don't know why, but the fanny packs are big again. We're giving one of those away.
I am. My opinion on fanny packs will not be a part of this program today. Hey, by the way, text your buddy Vito and say you're welcome. I just want you to get on your phone, text your buddy Vito and say you're welcome.
Vito. Oh,
just text him. You're welcome. By the way, you haven't mentioned the shirt that I'm wearing today.
Oh, I like that.
How many people even still have this?
I don't have it. That was probably that shirt's from how long ago?
I have no idea. But it's one of the many that I have that I'm not sure a lot of people still have this shirt. It's not that old, but I think it's kind of only a select few of us still have it. All right, today we will be previewing the San Francisco Giants. We're going to talk about the Giants today. Well, I'm glad you're bringing on somebody that we love, so then I'll be somewhat respectable. The great Hall of Famer, Bay Area Radio Hall of Famer, will always be loved in this fan base. The great Marty Lurie is going to join us at 10:30. Yes, Bay Area Radio Hall of Famer. Not too many people in the history of our medium better than Marty when it's talking baseball. Marty is as well versed to talking baseball history as anybody I know. I mean, Marty has been the one guy in my career that's brought me so much information and sent me information about my own grandfather that he finds. Baseball from the 40s and the 50s. Marty's great work about the PCL all these years. When you're talking baseball, you talk baseball with Marty Lurie, and he's going to join us at 10:30. A leader of men.
The original leader of men.
People are wondering who really is going to run for president coming up here in the next election. You know that, right?
Yes.
There's reports that there's Democrats that don't want Biden to run. We're not sure who's going to be the Republican nominee. How about Fran Riordan?
I mean, you mentioned it, leader. When I think of great leaders in the U.S., I think of General MacArthur. Who else am I thinking? Ulysses S. Grant, former president. I think of
George Washington.
I think of great men who were generals who became. Well,
know your history. If it's not for George Washington, we don't have what we have. They would have made him king. He said no. We're trying to get away from that.
Yeah.
And then won the war. Then became president. I mean, I don't know if there's a more important American than George Washington.
Until Fran Riordan.
Fran Riordan. I mean, could you see it? Fran Riordan, 2024. Riordan, 2024. I don't know who he'd run with. Scott Emerson.
Wow,
that's your vice president.
That ticket might. If we're putting together baseball men, that might
give me as the VP. Give me the big lefty as our VP. He'll get something done. You want a vice president that's going to get some stuff done? That's and you know what he'll use? Data. He's going to get stuff done with data. That's Scott Emerson. That could be our presidential ticket right there.
What if he goes up there and just says adapt or die, like Brad Pitt did in Moneyball? So he's going to use the data.
And then Johnny on the spot. Is Johnny solo again today?
No, I think he's with Vince.
And we have the Kansas City Royals.
The 6-1 Kansas City Royals.
Oh, is George Brett and Frank White and Steve Balboni back?
Gooby and all those guys. Brent Saberhagen.
Brett
Saberhagen.
Saberhagen.
Who else was on that pitching staff that was really good? There's another guy.
Frank Tanana.
Yeah. Are these guys back?
Dan
No.
Quisenberry closing out.
No, now it's
God rest his soul.
It's Bobby Witt, Brady Singer, Brad Keller. These are the guys. These are the names.
Who's the guy that's the media darling? Pescarelli.
Vinny Pascantini.
Pascatino.
Yeah, he's a first baseman.
I think he's playing for Team Italy, by the way.
Shocker.
He's a.
I believe Jess had him on pregame last year.
He's a media darling now. He was on with somebody. I think
he was on with Buster.
Buster, yeah.
Vinny Pasquantino. Yeah. Pasquantino. Yeah.
So he's got a great personality. So we'll see the Royals today. How about that? That should float your boat. Royals A's. Remember, Royals used to be in the AL West. Hard to believe, but yes. White Sox, Twins, Royals, folks.
Guardians.
Folks. No, they were always in the East.
Oh, no, I'm just saying. I was mentioning the division. I was just mentioning the division.
I'm talking about the old AL West.
Wow.
You had the Twins, you had the White Sox.
It's like when the Falcons played in the 49ers division.
Falcons and the Saints were in the same division with the Niners. That made total sense, right? Yeah. A road game is all the way to the East Coast, or you got to go to New Orleans, which is it's like going to East Coast, but not. Speaking of Scott Emerson, I think it's a great way to start today's program. And I've really been thinking about this because what we are starting to see, and there's the top video today or the top article on MLB.com is Peralta with like the fastest strikeout ever is some Pirates guy.
Yeah, Wandy Peralta, 22nd strikeout against, I should know who the Pirate player was, but I didn't.
20 seconds.
I was just more impressed with the strikeout.
It's utilizing the clock or pitch timer to your advantage. And you think about it. It happens all the time in sports. And we're now going to get in baseball. And the traditionalists, once again, they're going to have their underwear in a bunch, but they'll get used to it. But think it happens all the time. And I love to talk about football because we know football is the most viewed thing in all of America. Whatever things that are on television, nothing is viewed more than football. The ratings tell you that. We as human beings in the United States of America consume football more than anything else. No American Idol, no Bachelor, no Masked Singer, no cooking show, no 911, everybody's dying or hospital show or lawyer show.
Magnum PI reboot.
Magnum PI. Where's Tom Selleck? There is only one thing that people are watching. It is football. So what happens usually on the goal line? I can tell you because my days of being a sideline guy, I would follow the football wherever it would go. Unfortunately for the Raiders, it was always when I was there on their end, but I would follow it when the other team had the ball. And what you see is you use the clock and you use time to your advantage. So normally you see the quarterback a lot of times in shotgun, but when we get inside the 20, you call it the red zone, you see him get under center, right? And it'll be Red Razor 49, Red Razor 49. Then, if they're going to change the play, kill, 34 blue 5, and they're doing all these calls, right? Because the quarterback is reading the defense, right? So he's switching the plays to where the defense is. But sometimes when you get down, especially right on the goal line, and they've brought in their goal line defense, and it's all the biggies. They're bringing in all the big boys. They'll go quick count. So they put the football down. They line up instead of going through those long calls that Peyton Manning's famous for it, right? Because he had all the dummy calls in there. They would just line up. Quarterback gets under center, goes Red Razor, and boom, they all go. Because they want to get that advantage of getting off the football at the goal line. Because when you get to the goal line, whoever has the lowest pads is going to win. And you're going to drive whichever side is going to drive each other. So you're utilizing the quick count as an advantage. Or you see all the time where teams draw out a long call because you want to get the other team to drop to jump off sides to get you a first down. And if you end up getting the 5 yards, you don't care, you're punting anyway. Utilizing time is your advantage. Now, I explained, I think it was with Grady Fuson or somebody, where what I think runners are going to do. If I was a runner, my strategy would be, the great ones from Ricky Henderson down, yeah, they're fast. But that's not why Maury Wills or Ricky Henderson or anybody stole that many bases. They stole a ton of bases because they were masters at reading the pitchers. They studied the pitchers, they knew their tendencies, and they knew exactly what they were going to do. So I stole bases off the pitcher. And I think that is going to happen dramatically now, because now that we've seen where they're putting these pitch timers, it's going to be when you're leading off and you'll start to see it more once we get into big league stadiums. You're going to be able to look directly at it as a runner. So when I'm taking my lead off and I'm getting off and I'm seeing that timer and it's ticking down, 3, 2, I'm gone, man. 20 seconds, I'm gone. When that thing's coming down to 3, 2, 1, whoosh, I'm out of here because I know he's not throwing over. And I think that if I'm Scott Emerson and I'm the pitching staff, I'm going to really do this right out of the gate. And we'll talk to Emo again. We'll do this. Let's let a few games go by and see how it plays out and say, hey, this is my strategy. Because they're listening. They really care what I'm saying.
I mean, you could be hired on as an independent pitching, like,
guru.
Hey, Craig Breslow is the director of pitching.
Smartest man in baseball?
Something. Well, yes, but he's like director of pitching for the Cubs. Maybe you could be a special assistant to the A's pitching coach.
I'm telling you right now, this is what I do. Every single pitcher, I need to start practicing holding the baseball to the last minute. And when that runner thinks, oh my God, he's not going to throw over, I'm going to go, boom, you throw over. And you need to get this on tape, as we like to call it. That the other team needs to know that Oakland A's pitchers will hold the ball and throw to the very last second. Scott Emerson says, and it's really all of baseball, this applies. Hitting is timing. Pitching is disruption of timing. Well, really, everything is disruption of timing. And the cat and mouse game on first base with a pitcher, I'm talking about a right-hander only. Left-hander, whole different ball game, because these guys are balking the whole time, even though they'll tell you, Dallas Braden, we're not balking, you're balking. But they've got a whole different way to do it. I'm talking from I can really speak from a right-hander's perspective. You want that runner to think that, oh my God, this guy will throw over with 1 second to go. Now, you only get 3, so it's going to be on your first. But throughout the game, whenever they have a threat on base, you need to throw over, because that's going to mess them up. Because your base stealer's going to think, oh man, 3, 2, and he throws over? Uh-oh. Now it's in his head, because the runner is trying to time the pitcher. Ricky Henderson has talked about, I knew the pitcher's timing. I knew his rhythm. Once again, Scott Emerson says, hitting's timing, pitching is the disruption of timing. This is the same thing. Why do guys in baseball over the years, which they're not going to do anymore, would just, as a right-hander, turn and lob it over to first base? And they do it a couple times, and the fans boo. It was about disrupting the timing of the runner. It's just messing with him. That's all you're doing. I'm making simplistic. You're messing with the runner. Hey, man, get back to first. That's all you're trying to do. So I think it is so important to hold the baseball. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to look over my left shoulder, look at home plate. Look at my left shoulder. I can see the clock, because I'll be able to see really out of the left side of my eye, or there's going to the one to the right side. I'll be able to see the clock. 3, 2, 1, boom, turn and try and get him. Put that so every team thinks, man, A's pitchers they're gutsy. A's pitchers they'll wait till the last minute to throw over. Because these pitchers that don't do that are going to get run on at will. these closers who it's kind of an embarrassment. From a pitching standpoint, it literally is embarrassing that A, they can't field their position, and B, they can't hold runners. It's an embarrassment. It's part of your job. I mean, it's like being a golfer saying, hey, all I do is drive and putt. I have no short game. Like, what? I mean, you got to be able to, all we do is throw the football. We can't run it.
You have to be able to get to the green after the drive.
You got to be able to play. You got to be able. It's a position. You have a position to play. You bozo. You can't field your position. You see how many, for some reason, because closers, and I get it. You got to have the big bravado. You got to be that guy that's coming in and I'm going to blow everybody away. You really can't work in the off season on footwork and how to field your position. You can't work at holding runners. The ego, and it's amazing how we allow them and their egos to do whatever they want. Well, he had 40 saves last year, so we're not saying anything. What? Did anybody work harder than Jerry Rice or Tom Brady?
No.
And you're going to tell me bozo closer who may be good for 2-3 years, we can't, hey, man, you need to work on your footwork. You need to work on picking. You need to work on fielding your position. They're going to try and lay bunts on you. You better get off the mound like a cat and be able to throw to third to get people out. You need to do your job.
Who was one of the greatest athletic pitchers that you would never think it in baseball? He won like how many gold? I think 16 Gold Gloves.
Jim Cott.
He was good. I'm thinking.
You're going Maddox.
Maddox is good.
Jim Cott.
Zach
Kitty.
Greinke. We're going to talk about current players. Zach Greinke is an incredible fielding pitcher as well. But Maddox was you look at him now and you're like, how is that guy a major league pitcher and an athlete? Maddox was a great athlete, especially on the mound. Yeah, he would still bags too as a hitter. But Maddox was so good on defense, fielding his position where we see it during spring training and sometimes even more so spring training, the what do they call it? The PFP, the fielding, pitcher fielding plays. So it's great.
Pitchers fielding practice.
Okay.
Know the lingo.
Well, I wasn't a pitcher, so but I love
how many Gold Gloves did Maddox win?
Was it 16? I think it was 16. Let me see.
Jim Cott won 16. You didn't know that. You just go to Maddox. You didn't know Jim Cott is? Kitty.
Oh, I misspoke. 18-time Gold Glover.
It's a fraud. It really is a fraud. When someone wins this many Gold Gloves, that's the most lazy thing ever. How lazy is it where you just, everybody, I'm just voting for the same guy every year?
He won a Gold Glove at age 42 with the Padres and Dodgers.
How many games did he play in?
That year in 2008, he started 33 games that year.
Wow.
At 42.
What? At 42, Greg Maddux started 33 games, and DeGrom started 38 games in 3 years.
Yes.
And you want to tell me how great DeGrom is again? Tell me how great DeGrom is when he. Oh, by the way, he threw off the mound.
Isn't
that great?
Time to get excited in
he
Texas.
Played catch. 100 and how much did they give him? 180 something million. It's just a travesty. It's a travesty. But yeah, that's something that, spring training games, you're not going to show this, right? You don't want to show your cards. You don't want to show all the defense. You just don't want to do that. But I'm telling you, this has been on my mind. That's very, very important, is how you're going to utilize your run game and then how you're going to defend the run game. That's huge for us. I mean, unless you're going to figure out how you got to get a bunch of guys hitting 30 bombs on this team, I don't see it. I mean, can you guarantee me anybody even hits 25 on this team? Guarantee me.
Probably not. I mean, people will go, well, Seth Brown, because he did it last year. Okay. That was last year.
What do you have?
25.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, one guy, maybe.
Hey, maybe just maybe your guy, Ryan Noda, can get there.
Ryan Noda's out of options.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Speaking of players out of options, Pache with another hit yesterday, up to 370. He listens to the show.
Give him credit when Christian Pache hits, because let's just say this: if the light went on and Christian Pache started hitting, that would be great for us.
Yeah, 375 now in spring. I know it's spring training, but we're going to overreact.
If Pache hit, oh my God, it would be incredible. Because we already know he plays defense like a wizard. I mean, if you could have a outfield that's got Ruiz and Pache in it, you got two center fielders. Whoo, nothing's dropping. You're getting to everything. And it would make some really, really tough decisions for the front office. If Pache, because I got a feeling Pache right now is someone that they have made plans to not have in the organization anymore. Like this spring training, they mentioned it, right? Force mentioned it. Kotze mentioned it. There's a big spring for Pache. Okay, so what if he has a big spring? It's going to make for some tough decisions on, are there some veteran guys that now got to go? Or are you going to send guys down to Vegas that you really want here? Because I could tell you, there's no way Mark Kotze is going to be, he swallowed the 102 last year because he knew. Everybody knew. This year's not last year. Mark Kotze is not swallowing 100 losses again like it's nothing. So I got to think Mark Kotze is going to go into that meeting room and he's going to fight for who he thinks that can help him win. Now, when I mean now, you know what now is?
No.
Today. He's not going to be like, well, this guy's got options and this. Kotze's not going to want to hear that. And, you know, with the whole thing, you don't hire Rossi if you want a puppet.
Thank you, Theo.
You got to realize Mark Kotze, and another thing remember Grady Fuson's like, you know, a lot of guys, you're just making out the lineup. You don't do that with Mark Kotze. I mean, that's the great thing about having Grady Fuson on. He is so honest. He doesn't even know how honest he is. Because he's been in the game for so long, he doesn't care, right? Hey, Mark Kotze, I can tell you, remember the Austin Pruitt start?
Yeah.
The great start of Austin Pruitt. He went 5 innings.
Yeah.
The front office didn't want that. I don't know if I'm speaking at a turn here, but on that day, they did not. They wanted to call somebody else up. Kotze went, nope, this is what I'm going to do. So when Barry Bloom was like, yeah, are you being told what to do? That's not who Mark Kotze is. Now, it's a collaboration, and I have no problem with that because everything. I always throw that back to the Warriors. You want your manager in baseball in the Bay Area to call all the shots because that's what the skipper does. But you guys have all been cool that Steve Kerr, Bob Myers, and the core, they agree on all their things, and it's won championships. And we've celebrated that, right? Haven't we celebrated the Warriors as one great big think tank?
Yes.
We've celebrated it. But now in baseball, nope, can't do that. It's got to be the skipper. No, it's a collaboration. But Mark Kotze is not a guy that, if you know Mark Kotze, he is not somebody that's going to be bullied. And he's not going to be somebody who you're just going to go, you wouldn't hire him if you wanted to be able to go, hey, Jack, this is what we're doing, and you're going to do it. You would not hire him. And there's a couple reasons why. Mark Kotze has made enough money. He doesn't need this job. Right? Mark Kotze doesn't have to do this. And Mark Kotze could easily have jobs wherever he wanted, right? He could have said no and kept his job with the A's. He could easily have a job with the Padres because of his relationship in San Diego. And he could easily be on the staff of Bruce Bochy because Bochy loves him. And he could be on the staff of the Rangers. So Mark Kotze is not somebody who's desperate for a gig. A's got enough cash, and B, there's plenty of places he could go. So you're just not telling Mark Kotze, hey, this is what you're doing. So Austin Pruitt, I could tell you on that day, that was a, hey, no, I'm starting this guy, which was kind of like, what are we doing here? If you remember correctly, that was kind of a, we're starting Austin Pruitt? Yeah, that was a Kotze deal, and it worked out. But Mark Kotze makes a lot more decisions than you think. So Mark Kotze is going to be in that room, and he's going to be saying, hey, I took it last year. I can just tell you, talking to Kotze this year, Mark Kotze, he knows they're not winning the division, but he's not going to be a guy that's, let's just say, taking 100 losses easy. He's going to fight for every win.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I see Marty's connecting, but imagine the upside if Pache ends up hitting and you have ST Ruiz, and if JJ Bleday can live up to his potential. That's a very exciting outfield if that's what they want to go with in the future. You still have Connor Capel, who we know can hit. and he's having a good start to the spring. But Pache starting to hit is a good sign. I know he's out of options. A lot of decisions, and I didn't know about Noda not having options. So
Noda doesn't have options.
That's another one.
Noda's here, man. He's Rule 5. He's here to stay. I think you just need to get used to that. All righty, it is time to preview the San Francisco Giants with a radio Hall of Famer, a Bay Area radio Hall of Famer. A's fans, you know all his great work for all these years, being around the A's broadcast, now what he does with the San Francisco Giants. When you think about a baseball historian, when you think about somebody that knows the game, whether it's the big league level down to the minor league level, his work about the PCL has been absolutely incredible. There is nobody like the great Marty Lurie, and he joins us here on A's Cast Live. How are you down there in the Valley of the Sun?
He has his mic muted. Let him know.
How do I let him know?
Just tell him mute his mic.
You're muted.
How about that? Better?
There you go. How are you, my friend?
Very good. I'm the only guy who can tell you who played shortstop next to your grandfather in 1948. So you know that.
Fact.
Alvin Dark, Rookie of the Year.
I said before you were here, I said, Marty has sent me so much stuff about my grandfather that I've passed on to my brother and my cousin. The baseball history has been something for you. It's been a passion. The way I think you see with people who are like professors in college of history, and whether you love World War I or it's World War II or whatever thing in history that you love, certain cultures, that for you has been like baseball. Like if there was a baseball class to teach, you could roll right in and do baseball history at any university.
Yeah, it's beautiful because that's what baseball is all about. It's generational. It builds on the shoulders of the first generation, the second, the third, the fourth. And that's what connects us. And it's like a religion. We love the stories. And it's an unconditional friend. It's always there when we need it. And it's going to show up in March. And we're going to have this story that'll take us right through the end of October, November.
And baseball has always been changing. We're going to change a lot with these new rules. But when you think about all the different decades of baseball, if you had to say which one was actually, I'm not going to say the best played, but the most entertaining, which decade of baseball, in your opinion, was the most entertaining?
The 60s. I think the 60s are unbelievable. The American League finally was sort of catching up with African-American players and players of color. And the National League, of course, had done that well in advance of the American League. But when you look at the players who played in the 60s, I think that was the toughest decade of Major League Baseball that we had ever seen, because it was such a difference than the 50s. The 60s, the stars really came out. The Hall of Famers really came out. So I'd say the 60s for me.
Well, and you know, I try and tell people all the time, Marty, that baseball has changed so much. Like back in the day, you had a commissioner, but like truly the two leagues were different. The umpires were different. They both had their own presidents. I mean, you had two, they were different from each other. Like now, like you try and think like football, basketball, baseball, everybody plays everybody. But back in the day, these two leagues, the National League and the American League, were truly separate and different. It's wild.
Well, they had a real rivalry. It was a big deal to win the All-Star game. The league presidents would come in and make a speech before the All-Star game. If you listen to an All-Star game in 1958, for instance, it's 4-3 American League. It's the 8th inning, and Mantle is still in the game. Mays is still in the game. Musial's in the game. Banks is in the game. That's the way the All-Star game was played in those days. But you bring up a good point about the umpires. The American League umpires had the balloon chest protector, the outside chest protector, so they couldn't get down and see the low pitches well. So the American League was known as a high pitch, high strike league, and the National League was known as a low strike league. So that was different at that point as well. But we had different league presidents, different umpires, and different ballparks. And the whole thing was different. Spring training, you may see some teams play each other. But when that World Series came around, You had never seen the team play the other team before. And it really was, how the heck are the A's going to match up with the Dodgers? How are they going to match up with the Giants? You only had spring training to go by, and that made the World Series really special.
No doubt about it. Yeah, I mean, you start thinking about it, the legendary matchups and the legendary players, they would only face each other one time. I mean,
Yeah.
you think about the great Hank Aaron going up against the New York Yankees. Hank Aaron didn't have a lot of postseason, but when he did, he hammered the Yankees. It's those special moments, but I do like that. I do like that all the kids and everybody now, you get to see everybody. I remember think about this, Marty. I had never seen the Yankees with my own eyes until I came to play baseball at San Jose State. My first game ever was A's Yankees at the Coliseum. It was the first time I'd ever seen the New York Yankees, and I was 18, 19 years old.
Yeah, we are very, very, very lucky to be in the Bay Area with a two-team market. The fact that we can see American League, see National League, but now with the new schedule, we're going to see everybody. And that's okay. I have no problem with it. I think baseball is universal. It does make it interesting to every other year. You're going to get a home game with the Yankees or with the Orioles, or a team that's really coming on. We still have the rivalry between the A's and the Giants. We'll have 4 games with them this year. But the fact that we're going to play everybody in the other leagues, 7 home, 7 away, 3-game series, I think it's terrific. I really look forward to it.
As a baseball historian, I remember a few years ago, we were doing an interview with you, and you really educated us when people are talking about, you can't change in baseball. And you were like, no, they've always changed in baseball. That baseball's always changing. So, yeah, we have new rules. We have new stuff going on, but our sport's always been doing that.
No, absolutely. They changed the ball, and they would never tell you. And then there was a point in time when they did tell you. In 1930, if you look at all the statistics of 1930 and the great A's teams of 29, 30, and 31, they used a ball that was like a golf ball. And Jimmy Fox just crushed the ball, and Al Simmons and all these names of A's history. So the equipment has been different. It's changed over the years. The baseball has been different. The ballparks are different. And it's okay to change. They can do whatever they want, but you still need 27 outs. The last 3 outs are going to be the toughest, and you're still going to have to hit behind the runner to move a guy over when you're going to have to score a run. You're still going to have to throw ahead in the count. If you get behind in the count, the hitter's going to kill you. And the game, that part of the game is never going to change, but there are certain aspects of it that will change this year. And we'll see the pitch count. The pitch clock, rather, the way that works, the bases, the shift, and everything else. So it's going to look different to us. It's going to look a little bit on fast forward. But what I see in spring training down here, it's an experiment. And these players are so smart. I mean, the pitchers are already figuring out how to trick the hitters with the pitch clock. And the hitters are trying to figure out how to slow the pitcher down and step out of the box and do this and that. The base stealers are going to try to figure out when they can go. Baseball always adapts to the rules. And I frankly think, Chris, this is going to be the most interesting year we've ever seen in baseball, with the fact of the pitch clock and the way they're going to operate with it, and with not having the shift, and the bigger bases make a difference too. It's going to be quite interesting. This is going to be a very unique spring training, and I think what's ahead will be amazing.
Yeah, I knowing guys that are good friends who really don't go to games much anymore have said, God, if I can get out of there 2 hours and 30 minutes on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, I can actually go to the game and not worry about work tomorrow or bring my kids to the game. So once it really gets out and we actually see regular season games, they're not going well over 3 hours. It's going to be a good advertisement for attendance, no question about it. And something that when you talk about the 60s and athleticism, I'm just excited, being a kid that grew up in the 80s, all the base stealers. I mean, when I was growing up, it's Ricky Henderson, it's Vince Coleman, it's Tim Raines. Everybody was stealing bags. Our buddy Bip Roberts. who I got to watch growing up. I can't wait, Marty, to see the base stealer back in the game.
Yeah, it's coming, and we'll see it. Well, they'll figure out, after the first pick off, will they go on the second one? There's going to be a lot of back picks. The catcher's going to be throwing to first base a lot to keep the runner close. But having bigger bases and the fact that you can run after they have thrown over twice, they got to get you or else it's a balk. That will be different. I think we're going to see many, many more stolen bases this year. Look, and Billy Beane figured this out back in 2000. I always remember him saying it. Say, well, why don't you run more? He says, well, you got to be successful 80% of the time to make it work statistically. And if these guys can get there 80% of the time, you're going to see a lot of people running. So that's something that we'll enjoy at the ballpark. But for the players, see, the fans are going to have fun. But the players, this is really a challenge because the pitcher is got to, you got to think about the pitch. You have to think about executing the pitch. You have to think about where you are in the rubber. You got to think about your breathing. And all this happens in 15 seconds. And all of a sudden, instead of thinking about all that at the end before you deliver it, you're looking and saying, uh-oh, I only got 4 seconds to go. And then the pitch is not as much of a quality pitch. Same thing with the hitter. The hitter gets in the box. He's got to be there at 8 seconds. Well, what if he stands there at 10 seconds? Now the pitcher on the mound says, all right, he's already taken one timeout. He can't step out. I'm going to hold the ball until 2 seconds. So now I've frozen him for 8 seconds or 10 seconds. It's an eternity. What they're going to do to the hitter. So the hitter's got to step out. If he's down 0-2, 1-2 in the count, he's got to step out and take his time out and regroup at that point. So there's so much going on. It does affect the players, and that's my concern, whether the quality of the game will be different because of the trying to speed up the game. For the fans, it's great. But for the players, they really have to adjust to this.
Let's read some names here, some notable free agent additions for the San Francisco Giants. Mitch Haniger, our old buddy Sean Manaea, Ross Stripling, Michael Conforto, who sat out all last year, but obviously had some big years with the Mets, Taylor Rogers, Luke Jackson. The whole Carlos Correa thing ended up looking bad. Giants went out, tried to spend big money. We were there at the winter meetings when they weren't able to land Aaron Judge, when supposedly they were. Then they pivoted to Correa. The X-rays didn't go the way they wanted. It was really ugly. But in the end, Farhan went out and got a lot of guys. And I just have the feeling that if these guys stay healthy and they're productive, I got a feeling that the Giants are going to be better than we think, Marty.
Well, they're definitely better than last year. There's no question. They had guys last year who did not have a high ceiling. What we've got this year are people that actually we're not sure what the ceiling is going to be. And if it's the right ceiling, they're going to go up in their abilities and their numbers. So there's no doubt in my mind that this is a better team than we saw last year. Last year, there were a lot of fill-in players. We don't have that this year. So defense is still a question on the corners. We'll see what happens there. But not getting Correa, they missed having an anchor guy at the number 3 spot. So we'll have to see what Conforto does, what Haniger does, what Flores does, Jock Peterson and people like that. They still platoon all the time. And they're a little rough on the corners defensively. Lamont Wade is another guy coming back. He looks terrific. He looks so healthy, and he looks terrific down here. In right field, you get Haniger or Conforto, as I say. Yastrzemski, Slater, who's got a bad elbow right now in center field. J.D. Davis and Flores on the corners. You've got first base. You have a Flores and Wade there. You got a VR who hit 35 homers between Sacramento and the Giants last year. Joey Bart has been challenged at catcher, and maybe it's working because he's crushing the ball down here. So we'll see how that turns out. But you brought up the pitching. And this is what's going on in baseball. Teams are going to 6 or 7 man rotations. 6-man for sure. We've seen 2 or 3 teams announce they're going to go with a 6-man rotation. The Giants have a 6-man rotation with Junis going to the bullpen. You know Junis from Kansas City. They've got a lot of depth in the starting pitching. Minaya went to Driveline for the whole winter, except for 2 weeks in Antarctica to see penguins. But his velocity has gone up, 2 or 3 miles. So he's very happy. Alex Wood, you got Logan Webb, you got Stripling. You've got people who can pitch here. And the bullpen is fairly deep. They've got a bunch lefties, righties. You got the 2 Rogers twins who I don't know who I'm talking to when I see them. It's impossible to tell them apart. But one's a lefty, one's a righty. Duvall's a good closer. The Dodgers are a little banged up. They lost Lux. Their pitching now is a little different. Now they're relying on young players to make it. Before they would just work them into the lineup, and if it worked, fine. Now these guys have got to make it. So the Dodgers, we'll see. The Padres are a team that the top of the lineup is fabulous, but they're going to need a 6-man rotation in their starting staff. And Arizona's better. They're a young team coming on. They're better too. Are they going to contend? Probably not, but no one's going to push them around this year. And Colorado, I can't figure out. I don't know what's going on.
You mentioned ceiling, and I'm just kind of laughing. Last year at our training camp, there weren't too many guys that actually had a ceiling. That's kind of scary when you're at spring training and you don't even see a ceiling for guys.
Yeah, so that's the one thing that, if these guys stay healthy, then you don't have to go in and make 60 transactions. But if they don't stay healthy, again, the farm system at the top is not really ready to produce many people to take over. So you could fall into it. If they're not healthy, you could fall into that again. It's not impossible. But Kyle Harrison from De La Salle looks like a real deal. Good lefty arm, one of the best in baseball. He'll be in Sacramento. And the other one is this Casey Schmidt from your neck of the woods down in San Diego. He reminds me of Chavez a little bit. He reminds me of Eric playing third base. Not Chapman. I don't see Chapman, but I see a little more of Eric in there. The kid's going to develop. He swings the bat well. So Schmidt and Harrison are going to get to the big leagues this year. But other than that, there's not a lot ready. And that's my worry about the team. If they got to go into the minors, there's not a lot there. Not a lot. They got Piscotty here, by the way. And so Steven, who you know well, he's in camp too. And he's got a shot to make this team. If not, I hope he goes to Sacramento because he'll be in the big leagues this year.
Years ago it was a 4-man rotation. Now 5-man rotation. I mean, have we ever seen that work in the history of baseball where you're going to rely on 6 guys, 1 guy every 6 days?
Well, no. There used to be a guy, he would pitch every Sunday. Ted Lyons, the great Hall of Famer for the White Sox, that you knew he was going to pitch every Sunday. He was a Sunday pitcher. Certain pitchers would be held out by certain managers to pitch against better teams. We've seen that before, which upset the rotation. But I can never remember seeing a 6-man rotation that they are literally talking about doing. It's not just the Giants. The Padres are talking about it. There are other teams in baseball that are talking about it.
The Mets have talked about it now.
And how about the Dodgers? What are they going to do? They've got loads of pitchers. Syndergaard is there, Kershaw, May, Urias. They've got a lot of people to work into that rotation too.
I'm just wondering, 6 guys, there's 30 teams, 6 guys. Are there enough starters on planet Earth that are good enough to pitch at the big league level in a 6-man rotation?
No. Well, now you don't have to go 7 or 8 innings. So if you give me the DeSclafani and you tell me that Junis is coming in behind him, all right, so I could put DeSclafani in. Just give me 4 innings or 5 innings, and I'm coming back with Junis next. Here's Minaya. Just give me 5 innings. That's all I want from you. So just go as hard as you can for 5. And that's the way the game has evolved. And that's why you can use a 6th starter, because you're not saying, hey, give me 8 or 9 innings every turn. You just want him to give you enough innings to eat up that inning, that game. because you have to start 162 games. So the difference is you don't have to go 8 or 9 innings, so you can mess around with the rotation.
Haniger and Conforto. I love Mitch Haniger. I did that.
I can't remember ever seeing him play, so you tell me about him.
Yeah, he when healthy, and I got to do the Santa Clara County baseball banquet, and we honored him and Jock. And Mitch Haniger is just the nicest guy, Marty. You're going to love him. It's just, can he stay healthy? And obviously, Conforto sat out all year long. But if those guys bring the thump, that could be the thump that the Giants are missing now that, they didn't end up with Judge or Correa.
Yeah, I agree. And, you got to have table setters at the top of the lineup to get on and do that. They look to me like a team built more on power and not speed. They're a little more station to station than I like. I like to see a little bit more speed, and then maybe the pitch clock and the bases and all that will help them run a little bit more, get a better jump. But to me, they look like they're relying more on power. And when they won 107 games a couple of years ago, they had 250 home runs. So I think they like that, the way Farhan has put the team together. It's a little older, and it's a little more stationary. And there's no Longoria is gone. Belt is gone. Of course, Posey is gone. It's a different kind of team now, but they do rely on power.
You've been around big league managers for a long time. You've studied big league managers. How's your relationship with Gabe Kapler, and how do you feel about him as a leader of a franchise?
He's grown up a lot. I'd say, and I said it on the air, he's almost done a 180 this spring. He sits and he talks and he's patient and he laughs and this and that. And of course, no games have happened yet. So let's see when the season starts. But so far, he's been a pleasure. And like he says, look, Chris, the way this organization is set up, he's not calling the shots. He's got 18 coaches. He's got an analytics department. Whatever happens in this team, it's a consensus opinion of the way they want to play. So they know ahead of time who to put in and where to put in and what pockets they're going to look for with certain batters. And he executes it well, but he's gotten a little more glib. I think he's going to relate better to the fans as opposed to talking over their heads all the time, with a lot of analytical mumbo jumbo. He's not Ken Maka, he's not Art Howe, he's not Bobby Cox, but he's not as stiff as he was in the past. So I think he's going to be better. I do.
Let's end on this. And I know Ray Fosse was trying to do this towards the end. God love our man, Ray Fosse. But you have done so many interviews. I mean, the amount of interviews you have done, are you preserving them? Is there ever going to be a place where we can get, I mention it all the time with you, your relationship with Torrey Hunter and the stuff that you would get out of Torrey Hunter, whether he was in Minnesota or he was in Anaheim. I mean, Torrey was just wonderful. You guys had a great, are we ever going to have this vault where we can go and just enjoy and geek out on all your great interviews?
Yeah. They are almost all of them are digitalized right now. A lot of the stuff I did, I did the A's pregame from 98 to 09. And Chris, I did it every single day, like you. You work so hard. I would do a 90-minute show every single day. And to do 90 minutes by myself, I would have to have 5 or 6 different interviews every single day. So a lot of the stuff I have is on CD. I have many of my pregames from the A's with a lot of the CDs filled up with interviews. But then we also have the digital side of the ones that were on the recorder. And those have been put on the internet that we have them in a hard drive, which we'll never lose them. So it's on my mind, but there's so many on the day-to-day CDs that the stations would, prepare for me that someone's got to sit down. It'll take 2 years to listen to everything. Listen to Ken Korach and me rattle the lumber. Listen to me and Vinny, me and Shooty. Maka, Guerin, whoever it was. There's just so much stuff there. It's really the history of the A's from 98 to 09. It's really very complete.
Well, I don't need to tell everybody how great you are. You're a Bay Area Radio Hall of Famer. They already did that for me.
You're the hardest working guy in this business. And I tell you that. I look at what you do every day and how much you get done. It's absolutely incredible. You and Larry Krueger, you two guys are the hardest working guys in the Bay Area. And you're an icon. All I can say is when you call me, I'm coming on the show.
Wow, that's very kind, but we all know who you are, Marty. I mean, when you get your own bobblehead, for God's sakes, that is a big deal.
$79 on eBay.
That's when you're big league. Well, you know how much you mean to this fan base, how much you mean to me, and everything you've done for me in my career and helping me find information about my grandfather. I'll always be indebted. Be well, and we'll see you down there. I'll be down there about March 11th. We'll be back.
Good.
We were just there. We've come back. We'll be back again, but can't wait to see you, and be well, and stay warm in Arizona.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I will tell you this, being that I live in Arizona, some of the fans went, yes, I am Marty Lurie. That's me. Yeah. The fans are coming up to the booth already. I live here. So the fact that it's a little cooler, not a problem, because believe me, in June and July and August, it's going to be 112. So I can put up with 58 right now. And believe me, it's a very, very hot place in the summer. So I'm going to be more in the Bay Area in the summer, believe me.
All right, buddy. We'll see you soon.
All right. Be well. Always a pleasure. I'll see you on the 17th. I think Giants A's over in Mesa. I'll probably see you on, I think, March 17th, something like that.
Beautiful. Take care.
Okay. Be well. Bye-bye.
The great Marty Lurie right here on A's Cast Live. Legend. Like, like I said, I don't have to build him up. He's in the Bay Area Radio Hall of Fame. Ken Korak is in the Bay Area Radio Hall of Fame.
We were there for it.
I wasn't, but yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, you to work.
Yeah, you guys all get to celebrate. Somebody still got to man the ship. As Marty said, yeah. You think, what does Townsend do? Yeah, I'm the one working every day. You're off to, we're going to San Luis Obispo.
Yeah.
We're going to Napa. You know where I'm going?
The Coliseum.
The Coliseum.
Speaking of San Luis.
Where am I on Saturdays and Sundays? I'm at the Coliseum. Where am I Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? I'm at the Coliseum.
Speaking of San Luis, I'm going tomorrow to watch Cal Poly play Oregon.
Of course you are.
Watch them play Oregon State.
Of course you are. You're on another vacation.
And then Sundays, AEW Revolution at Chase Center. I know a lot of A's fans that'll be there.
The what?
Wrestling on Sunday, pay-per-view at Chase Center.
That's not like WWE, right?
It's the other company. I believe it's AEW, All Elite Wrestling. I believe.
By the way, you showed me today one of the funniest things where a wrestler is imitating Ric Flair to Ric Flair. I wish we could play the whole thing. It's priceless.
It's
Ric Flair right now on Instagram. The non-contextual. What's exactly?
No context. Flair.
No context Flair is everybody's. I mean, I got people sending it to me all the time, and I'm sending it to people. It's the best.
It's the wrestlers. He's now in AEW. It's Jay Lethal back when they were at Impact TNA, and he does the whole woo off, and he does everything.
He's got Flair down to a T. Well, there's no question. Whoever you consider your favorite wrestler, everybody's got their favorite guy. Everybody thinks nobody was better than Ric Flair as an entertainer.
No.
He's not even close.
Those videos are the best. I mean, I know there's like a Dusty Rhodes one, and Dusty's very entertaining, but they're not Flair.
Flair's are interviews. Like The Rock would do his stuff.
His were more promos than anything.
Right, and he'd do third person, and he'd rip a guy real quick. You're talking about Ric Flair comes out and does full-on, like they're real sports interviews, right? The great Tony Schiavone. And he's coming out, and
AEW broadcaster. He'll be there Sunday,
and he's talking to the crowd. He'll be out there for like 5 minutes, like it's like a real athlete talking to a real broadcaster. I mean, and some of the stuff that they say, you just could not say today.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun.
There was one that you sent me where he's talking about females and he's ripping some females in the crowd. I'm like, there's stuff like you couldn't do that today.
No, even if
if it's wrestling, you couldn't get away with that
Even in the one I showed you this morning with Jay Lethal when he calls out the women in the crowd.
Be careful. Be
Yeah.
careful. There's
Yeah.
just certain things
Yeah.
that he said, descriptions
Yeah.
that you couldn't do today.
No. But
That
the
was funny.
Jay Lethal taking off his jacket and doing the Ric Flair strut and then doing the elbow drop on the jacket.
But
so good.
If you could see, you can see it on YouTube. His mannerisms and his cadence, he's got it down. I mean, impressions are hard. I mean, you got to sound like the guy. You've got to have the same rhythm, the same cadence, and he's got it down. Pretty good. Back to the Giants. And whenever we can have Marty Lurie. I mean, Marty is gold. He's absolute gold. He's a treasure.
He's our Giants insider.
But he's our baseball historian. Yeah. We'll just bring him on because he does a great job at KNBR. I do think that the Giants are going to be in this thing. The Dodgers are coming down. That whole 104 wins, 4 out of 5 years is not happening. I'm betting against that. I'm saying they win under 100. Padres, who are now talking about signing out Juan Soto.
And Hader.
Oh, my God. But I could see the win. I could see the winner of that division with like 96, 97, 95 around in there.
So you're looking at like an AL East race, essentially, the last couple of years.
A big three. And like what the Giants would be last year would be the Phillies. Like this thing was a lot of the Mets led the division throughout the year. I would see that being either the Padres or the Dodgers. Phillies get in the wild card. That would be the Giants. Like, I mean, look at these names. I mean, Farhan did a really good job of going out and getting some players. I mean, this group of players right here, once again, it's all an if. An if doesn't win baseball games, but it's an if. If Mitch Haniger, if Sean Manaea, if Ross Stripling, Michael Conforto, Taylor Rogers, Luke Jackson, they got what? Cobb and Webb. And the one thing
Alex Wood.
The other thing that I didn't get to ask Marty, and we'll see. You really don't know until games start. They were horrific defensively.
Yes,
they were horrific. Now I watch Giants baseball because we're in the market, so they're always on. Right? They'll be on. I'll watch it on TV. I'll watch it at the gym when we're not on. So but I'm not watching it every day like I watch A's baseball. But all the numbers said they stunk defensively. So they got to get better defensively. But I do see, and as much as the Giants fans clamor for, and once again, A's fans, we're doing every team. We did the Rockies yesterday. I know we're doing the Giants today. I can already hear our fans. What are you talking about the Giants for? Who's tomorrow?
Tuesday.
The
great Arizona Diamondbacks and our
Snakes.
And our old friend, not Torey Lovullo, saving him for the regular season. Not Luis Gonzalez.
Gonzo.
The great Johnny Gomes.
Oh, my guy, Johnny
Pedal
Gomes.
of his own. I talked to him
one
yesterday.
Of my favorite A's of all time, Johnny Gomes. I love me some Snakes. They got the worst uniforms, but Torey Lovullo and the Snakes, I gave you that stat yesterday. They stole 68 bags after the All-Star break. That's a clip of 80.9% success rate. 80.9. And if Billy Beane says you got to steal 80% to make it worthwhile, they did it in the second half. I'm loving my wild card to win the West will be the Arizona Diamondbacks. We'll preview them on Tuesday. But
Johnny's title, minor league outfield and base running coordinator. Well, they stole a lot of bases, and they have a lot of young guys that can still, like Corbin Carroll. Johnny Gomes is a big part of that.
Hey, when I think about running, I think Johnny Gomes. Let me tell you that. Speedster Johnny Gomes. Yeah, but, to do the Giants justice, yeah, you didn't get Judge, you didn't get Correa, but you got a bunch of guys that if they play pretty well, I'm not saying they have to play great. They play pretty well, Giants will be a much better team. And you'll be like, wow, good moves by Farhan. Because now what are you looking at? You're looking at 107 wins. That's what they won 2 years ago, right? And the Dodgers won 106.
And they won 81 last year.
81 and 81. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, you got all these analytic people. You got all these coaches. Kapler thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. I actually like Gabe Kapler.
Yeah, friend of the program.
And, yeah, Gabe Kapler years ago when he was a Fox Sports guy used to come on my talk show when I was on 95.7 The Game. I used to have Kapler on all the time. And you could get into – Kapler's a kind of a fascinating dude because you can get into the whole baseball, but we would get into fitness and training and stuff. I mean, Kapler is a smart guy.
Then we got to meet him in person at the winter meetings in 2019.
I like Kapler. I do. But we'll see. We'll see if the Giants can make it happen. But we do know this. You just can't get a big-time free agent to come to the Bay Area unless you grossly overpay. That's just that. You know what? It's fact, folks. As much as, we sit here and say it all the time. Oh, the Bay Area is the greatest place to live. Yes, we love living here, right? I've lived here my entire adult life. I love living here. But I know the reality of state taxes. I know how agents think. I know how players think. And I know about our weather. As much as we act like our weather's great, our weather on the San Francisco Bay stinks. And when you're watching a game in June and July at Pac Bell Park, is it SBC Global now? What is it?
Oracle Park.
What are the other names? SBC Global,
AT&T,
Pac Bell.
Then it went to AT&T, and then now it's Oracle.
So
4?
Pac Bell. It opened up as Pac Bell, then SBC Global, AT&T,
Oracle.
It's only had 4.
Yeah, 4 names.
The weather. Giant fans are like, they have blankets and beanies and scarves, and it's June and July where everybody else is outside, summertime, beers, shorts, T-shirts. I mean, A's fans, you're kidding yourself. Our stadium's cold. I'm there every game. There was a certain point when I was covering A's, Raiders, and A's all at the same time. You remember that? No one was at the Coliseum site more than I was. I had to do A's, Raiders, and Warriors year-round. I did it for a few years. Nobody was doing it more than me. Windy and cold on a consistent basis other than day games in the summer. At night, start of the season, end of the year, brutally cold. So you want to talk about not hitter-friendly, you want to talk about crazy state taxes, makes for a recipe of there's a reason why the Giants have a ton of money and they haven't been able to land anybody. And the only way they landed Correa was they had to grossly overpay him. They're going to look back and say, whew, thank God we didn't have that deal. 13 years, was it?
Yeah.
It was 13.
That sounds about right. I was at 12. Let's fact check ourselves.
Fact check, 13 years, Carlos Correa to the Giants.
13,350. Yep.
Don't doubt.
Sorry,
it
was 12 with the Mets.
See, you need to just sometimes sit back and learn. Yeah, he wasn't worth that, but you had to grossly overpay him. It's a problem for California teams. I first started seeing this with the Raiders, and Niner people will tell you this because of my buddy. Fact check me here. One of the top agents in football is Doug Hendrickson, San Jose State great, former teammate of mine. He's been one of the top football agents, and he started talking to us about this going, it's a problem for California team. It's a problem for the Niners, Raiders, Rams, Chargers. Well, that now goes to what? Warriors, Lakers, Clippers, the hockey teams, Sharks, Kings, Ducks. It hurts A's, Giants, Dodgers, Angels, Padres.
Sacramento Kings.
Who?
Well, I'm just looking at California. Hey,
it doesn't matter.
They're third in the West right now.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're really good this year. They can't play any defense, but they can score.
I have nothing wrong. At least you're entertaining. That's like the old Nuggets back in the day.
They played a game last week, double overtime against the Clippers. They won 176-175.
I just went rock on you right there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Hayward's own Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
He's not from Hayward.
Born in Hayward. Grew up in Philadelphia.
I was about to say he's out because we would have.
Don't you remember at WrestleMania when we were there? He goes, "The Rock's an East Bay boy." That's what he said in his promo.
No, I do not remember that. It was
then he brought Ronda Rousey in the ring, and it was the whole thing.
So taxes are a big thing, and I know we don't like to hear it, but it's a reality, and weather's a big thing. And it's going to be tough going forward as our politicians and our state want to keep taxing people who make a lot of money more and more and more. I mean, they're trying to get it from 13.3%. I mean, you're not in this tax bracket. I'm not in this tax bracket. But they're trying to. There's been one politician, I think he's out of Oakland, who wanted to get it up to 18%. So 81 home games, you're getting taxed by California 18. I'm not an accountant, but you're going to get taxed 18% on what you make for 81 home games. Do you know how much money that is? Versus if I go to play, like, let's say for the Red Sox. And that was a huge thing for the Panda, as you called him.
5 for 95, I think he signed.
I called him 2 Pizza Panda after every game. Pablo Sandoval, that's not right. I take that back. Hit the dump button. Oh, we don't have that. We can't do that in streaming. I got that from Aubrey Huff, my old radio partner. God, Aubrey was great, and then he just went he went like super political on us, and now everybody hates him. Is that what happened?
I think so. I don't know.
But he gave me some great stories about the Giants. Like I can tell you exactly how Melky Cabrera got popped for PEDs. We'll save that for another show.
Yeah, you shared that with me before.
I can tell you exactly how it happened, and guys are still doing it. Wink, wink. There's still a way to juice your body with testosterone and then have it be out of your body within a certain amount of time so you won't test positive. Not that I'm promoting PED use. I'm just saying I was taught a lot by Aubrey Huff. I don't know about the political stuff that he went crazy on. I haven't followed it. I just know when I worked with him, he told me stuff about Posey. He told me all kinds of stuff. Where was I going with it?
Now to remember because you went off on clubhouse
so
stuff.
Panda.
Oh yeah, 2 Pizza Panda. You called him
2 Pizza Panda. Post game 2 Pizza Panda. He'd beat up the spread and then eat pizza. So essentially, Massachusetts is a flat 5% state tax. Flat. So the deal that you had the same deal on the table between the Giants and the Red Sox. Right? It's a true apples to apples deal. But the state taxes in California versus Massachusetts, it's like a difference of like $8 million. And typical Giant fan. What's the Bay Area? What's $8 million? To a guy that grew up where Pablo grew up, $8 million? I don't know about you. $8 million is a big difference. But, to the Bay Area, it's the Bay Area. You get to play here. It's the greatest place. What's $8 million?
I'm not afraid to admit that $8 is a big deal to me.
$8 million. And so he signed with Boston. And I think he just wanted out anyway. But, it's a difference. It's a problem for us. It is a problem to get free agents to the Bay Area, to Southern California.
Who was the last big free agent to sign here? Durant, probably? When he signed on 4th of July, like 6 or 7 years ago now? That'd be the last big guy, right?
Well, yeah. In the state of California,
or just I'm talking in the Bay Area,
the biggest free agent's been Machado.
Money-wise, I was going to say name-wise, I think LeBron, but yeah, money-wise, Machado.
Money-wise, by far, Machado's the biggest free agent to ever sign in the state of California. Like, there's no one even close.
Yeah, because Ohtani came over as an international signing. LeBron got
Mookie Betts was traded, then signed.
Trout re-signed after being drafted by the Angels.
Posey's deal was he was drafted, brought up through the system. Bonds didn't make crazy money.
Steph Curry, same
By the
thing.
way, you know the thing about Bonds, which is amazing? Bonds bitched and complained about money in Pittsburgh, but once he got to the Giants, he signed that deal. And then throughout the years, even when Bonds was hitting 73 home runs, he wasn't the highest paid player. But you never heard Bonds just always re-signed 1-2-year deals, was making like $18 million. Bonds wasn't a problem with money. I don't remember that. I remember Bonds just always, he was here. They were going to pay him. They're going to pay him good money. He wasn't going to be the highest paid guy, but he wasn't complaining. Like Ricky Henderson always complained about money.
Didn't when Bonds signed his deal, wasn't like 6 for 36 or something when he signed with the Giants?
I think it was 40 something.
Okay. Either way, it was
90,
still,
and that was 94.
No,
93,
90 after 92 season. Yeah,
90 something. It was a lot of money. There was no question about it. But Bonds later on. But that's a problem for us. It is a problem. It is a real problem. The only reason Machado signed in San Diego because they were the only ones willing to do the deal. You've got to grossly overpay to get guys to be free agents in California. Sad, but that's where we are, right? And if that's the case, what does that mean for the A's where we are now? We got no shot. And you talk about why you need Howard Terminal. We need Howard Terminal just to be thought of. I'm not saying Howard Terminal gets us top free agents. We need Howard Terminal just to like put it this way. Free agents, top free agents, if you built a ballpark at the Coliseum site on the asphalt to just have a ballpark, that ain't doing it. You need something to get people to sign, right? You need Howard Terminal, you need a jewel. We're going to have to overpay and have a jewel to get guys here. Because otherwise they're not going to sign. You think Seattle has signing dudes? Look at the amount of talent that left Seattle. Homegrown. I mean, Randy Johnson wasn't technically homegrown, but he kind of is because he found himself there. Griffey, A-Rod.
Ichiro, well, it's not Ichiro, but
nobody wants to go. They fly more than anybody else. Nobody wants to go there.
The only two guys that come to mind for them recently were because King Felix obviously drafted by them would be Robbie Ray and Robinson Cano.
And what did they have to do with both those guys?
Overpay.
They had to overpay. So you got teams that have to dramatically overpay to get guys. Seattle, that's going to be us. When the fans say, "Oh my God, man, we need to spend more money in free agents," we're going to have to dramatically overpay and have Howard Terminal to make it happen. That's just a reality. I mean, how are you going to fight a team in Texas? How are you going to fight a team? Well, Florida. If a team ever in Florida wanted to spend, what an advantage that would be. No state taxes. I mean, you can't. How do you fight that? You just get drilled on the taxes. And players look at that going, because here's the other thing you don't think about when you sign with a team in the West. So I'm going to play 81 home games at home. Probably the best example is the NL West teams. This is a great example. Let's say you're Friedman from LA and you call me, right? You're going to call me, right?
Yeah.
Offer me big money. And I'm going to be like, it's great. You're going to tax me at the highest level. And I know taxes is not sexy to talk about. I'll end on this. You're going to tax me at the highest level for the 81 home games that I got to play at Dodger Stadium, right?
Correct.
I then got to go play in San Diego. Am I getting taxed?
Yes.
San Francisco.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, who's our rival in the South?
LA.
And now we're going to for sure play the A's.
Yeah.
You're well over 100 games that you're playing. If you're a California player in the West, way over 100 games. Because let's say that year you're playing the A's at home. Doesn't matter if you're playing the A's. If I'm a Dodger, I'm playing the A's in Oakland or LA. You're going to be taxed way more than 100 games that California taxes, more than any other player in the big leagues. You're in the state with the highest state taxes, and you're going to play the most games there. You'll play, if you're a Giant, Dodger, Padre, and the fact that you got to play the Angels and the A's, you're going to play well over 100 games in the state of California. Versus everywhere else, you want to add that money up, it's life-changing money when you think about that. It's crazy. And I don't know what it's going to be, and it's just going to get worse for California teams. I'll end on that. Down in spring training, as we laughed, I don't know if he's going to be a presidential candidate. He could be. Fran in 24, as we may call it. He's a great leader of men. We love having him on the program. Fran Riordan, the manager of the Las Vegas Aviators, very good friend of A's Cast Live, joins us now. Have you again? How are you?
I'm great. I'm glad to be back in Arizona. My favorite time of the year, spring training in Phoenix, and just having a blast. Starting to warm up a little bit, and
yes,
yeah, it's a good time. Good time of year.
It's almost like you brought your Buffalo Bills weather with you for the first couple of days here.
A lot of people accuse me of that. Every time I see someone who I haven't seen, like, you bring that crummy Buffalo weather with you. I didn't try to. I tried to leave it.
Yeah, I mean it's nice when it warms up. It's easier for the players because when you do get high winds and it gets cold, there's only so many things you guys can do. Because I know right now there's a ton of teaching going on with these players before you actually get into the games.
There is. It's a great time to reinforce fundamentals, to introduce the new players from different organizations to the Oakland Athletics way and how we do things here. And sometimes it's difficult in the mornings when it's 35, 40 degrees and people are sitting around listening to a coach explains something that's going on the field. But it's always like this early in spring training here, and then it starts to warm up a week or two into it, and it turns into just beautiful weather all the time. But guys are really doing a good job of focusing and getting in their work early.
I'm real curious because I asked Mark Kotze this a little bit ago, and obviously you run a lot of the things down here. How different is this year? No lockout, not talking about COVID anymore. How different is this year from what we saw last year? So many changes and kind of like a lot of chaos last year.
Well, it's different in the fact that it's normal. We haven't really had a normal spring training since 2019 with all the different things that have come up in the last few years. So it feels good to get back to that normalcy, that full spring training schedule, not having to worry about the CBA or not having to worry about COVID testing. And it just feels good. It feels natural. And I think the biggest thing, it feels normal.
Yeah, that's it's wonderful, right? It's like wonderful being back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good feeling.
Now, there's a lot of competition going on here at camp. And I know that from the outside, a lot of people have said, the A's are not going to have anything. It's like, there's a lot more talent here than you think. And whoever doesn't make the big league club, I think you have to be excited. You're going to be getting a lot of talent down there in Las Vegas.
I think so. I'm still getting to know a lot of the new players, just getting to know their names, let alone their abilities and what they can do on the field and their individual talents. But yeah, it's going to be a situation, and in my opinion, just from the first look, that we will have more depth in the organization. We will have more talent on the major league roster, and I think that'll trickle down to the AAA roster as well. And that's exciting. I think that you have to give the front office credit that there is more depth and there is more talent. And obviously time will tell how we're going to be on both the major league level and the AAA level, but it's an exciting time.
So something that people probably don't think about is last year, the A's used a record 64 players. Well, then that means that there's a lot of guys coming up and down from AAA. People don't think about that, but that affects you guys dramatically with all the different faces.
Yeah, it does, and that's part of the gig. And last year was more severe, more significant as far as player moves, guys going up and down, and guys getting opportunities, which to me is the most important thing from my job's perspective, is to hopefully get guys ready to come up and be productive major leaguers. And it definitely affects our roster, but it's part of the process, and it's why they have a AAA team to be a depth and a feeder system for the major league team, and hopefully that'll continue to happen at a not such a high rate this year, but it will definitely happen. And we just make the adjustments as you go along.
We tell our fans all the time, make the trip down to Vegas, go see the Aviators. I mean, Vegas is Vegas, but then you throw the Aviators in there. The ballpark is absolutely beautiful. The experience, you guys are always really good. The ballpark is great. I mean, it's a fun time. People from the Bay Area, take a little vacation, come down and see the Aviators play.
Yeah, it's a short flight. It's a beautiful drive, and it's a great place to go. You think of Vegas, and you think of, it's just the Strip, and the stadium's not even – it's close to the Strip, but it's a 20-minute drive, and it's a beautiful area, and there's the Red Rock Canyons there, and there's great golf, and there's great restaurants, and the stadium is an absolute pearl, right there in the middle of Summerlin. And it's like you said, it's a great experience. The front office does a fantastic job of creating that experience. And if you haven't been there, it's definitely worth the trip.
All right, we got to end on this because I know you got to get over to Fitch. I work with a Jets fan, and fan now for some reason really doesn't like the Buffalo Bills Mafia. And I'm like, well, the Jets haven't won anything in a long time, and they're trying to discount that you guys have been in the playoffs the past couple of years. But I said, well, they're building something. The Bills are building something. And I expect the Bills to continue to build to where the Jets, I just keep seeing building failure. What do you have to say to a colleague of mine who's a Jets fan, who's a Bills hater, and really has no right to be?
Yeah, I'd like to talk to him, because the Jets not only are they building almost a tradition of failure, they're building on a record of how many head coaches and offensive coordinators they can have in a 5-year period. And I think they're trying to trample that record. They're doing a great job. So, we'll see what happens next year. But the Bills keep making the playoffs. They haven't got past that final hump yet.
Yeah.
But I think we're in a little bit better situation than the New York Jets.
Yeah, I mean they're building they're building a loser basically, and I don't know why they're looking at anybody else, judging anybody else. I was down at the AT&T, saw your quarterback playing. Allen's a big kid, and man, special.
Yeah.
When you walk next to him, so I'm walking next to him at Pebble Beach, and I'm thinking the size, like you see him on TV, but the size of him to move the way he does at that size as a quarterback is amazing.
It's incredible. That's why he's so fun to watch. I mean, he's 6'5", 255, and he runs like a fast tight end.
He almost looks like a big outside linebacker.
Yeah, that's exactly what he looks like. And just that makes his athleticism and what he can do on the football field that much more exciting. And it's pretty fun time to be a Bills fan with him at the quarterback.
Well, we appreciate the time. We're going to be calling you during the season. We got to check in on the Aviators. It's always fun. So we thank you so much for coming out here. I know you got to get over to practice, but we will be calling here in just a little bit.
I will always answer. Thanks, Tony.
Riordan in 24. Fran Riordan, leader of men, could be president of the United States. I love it. A ticket of Riordan Emerson.
Got my vote.
Oh, I'd vote for that in a second.
Plus Fran crapped all over our unknown coworker. We won't say his name.
Okay, so Karate Kid Ray Jensen, the reason why he's a big Jets fan, in that interview, we kind of went a little inside on that, I'll admit. But I knew how to explain it to you. So Ray Jensen, he's right behind me in that interview. He's a massive Jets fan. And he's ripping the Bills before Fran comes out. And Fran is a huge, goes to all the Bills games, right? So as I'm ripping the Jets, and he says, I want to talk to the guy, Ray Jensen, the Karate Kid, Mr. Black Belt, doesn't peep up. He's got a headset on. He could have easily took his mic out of mute and said, hey, Bills fan, slow down. I'm a Jets guy. Wanted no part of it. The Black Belt wanted no part of the power that is Fran Riordan. He had his opportunity. I left it open. He was right behind me. He knew he had a headset on. He knew what I was saying, and he wanted no part of it.
Because he knows Fran's a leader of men. He's a member of Bills Mafia.
Would have squashed him like a grape.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're Mr. Black. That's what Fran would have done to his black belt. He would have laughed at his black belt.
I'll make sure if Ray's not watching this live, I'll make sure to bring it up because I'm going to see him on Sunday at the wrestling pay-per-view.
Gutless. Tell him I said it. He was gutless. You had your chance to take on Fran Riordan, and you wanted no part of it. That's right. Go to fake wrestling because that would have been real. Taking on Fran against the Karate Kid, Ho-Ho Camp Park, pay-per-view coming your way next spring training. Coming up next, Johnny on the spot. Johnny Doskow will join us. He's not Johnny Solo today. What is he hot on? What's he seeing? And somebody's back in the lineup. It's good to see. We'll talk about it next, right here on A's Cast Live.
It's that time of the year. Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2023 season. Don't miss out on securing your tickets for some of the biggest matchups, fireworks, drone shows, giveaways, and more. Visit athletics.com/tickets to get yours now. That's athletics.com/tickets.
This is Chris Townsend, and if you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see my friends at the Chicken Pie Shop at Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
A's general manager David Forst was on A's Cast Live and talked about Kyle Muller.
Muller was basically told us on the show, I'm done with the minor leagues. I'm here to stay. I'm a guy that should be in a big league rotation. I love that kind of confidence. That's the kind of confidence this ball club needs I mean, when you brought him over, did you know you were getting a guy that's this confident? And according to him, he's here to stay.
I love the confidence too, and I can tell you my first phone call with Kyle right after we made the trade, that came through the phone. A guy who, like you said, feels like he's done everything he needs to do in the minor league, and all he needs is the opportunity, and just give him the ball, and he'll take advantage of it. And I certainly think being paired up with Shea probably made him feel that much more comfortable yesterday. It was something he and I talked about in that first phone conversation, because I just sort of casually asked him, like, who do you know over here? How can we make you feel comfortable? And he's like, hey, I've pitched to Shea. That's all I need. So that doesn't surprise me that was what he brought to your show when he was on the air.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Chevron with Techron has unbeatable engine cleaning power, and it gives you unbeatable mileage for all kinds of unbeatable destinations, like time in the sun at the beach, or time in the sun riding roller coasters, or a day in the sun hiking mountains. Well, probably just one mountain would be enough for a day, but hiking a mountain is still an unbeatable choice for how to spend time. Download the Chevron app now to get unbeatable mileage at locations near you.
This is Chris Townsend for my favorite golf course in the Bay Area, Cinnabar Hills Golf Club. Tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose, Cinnabar Hills offers the finest 27 holes of championship golf in Silicon Valley. Come see the amazing new renovated clubhouse and restaurant, plus patio dining with the most breathtaking views. Cinnabar Hills is far more than a golf course, one of the premier places in the Bay Area to host weddings and any type of events. There's no golf experience like Cinnabar Hills Golf Club. Go to CinnabarHills.com. That's CinnabarHills.com.
If you're looking for the latest green and gold gear for the 2023 season, then look no further than athletics.com/shop for your officially licensed gear. That's athletics.com/shop.
Streaming from the East Bay, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All righty. We head back to the Valley of the Sun. Johnny Doskow, Johnny on the spot. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Townie. How are you guys doing?
We are doing well. We've gotten into a lot of discussions today. I was basically earlier in the show breaking down what our pitchers need to do to hold runners while using the pitch timer as an advantage, not as a disadvantage. I think it's going to be very important, not now, but early in the season, to show all the scouts that are watching, to put it on the video, that when that clock is going down to 3, 2, 1, when that hit 1, boom, we throw over. Just so they know that they can't get this walking lead and then just take off when the timer's ending before a pitcher gets penalized. I think that's something that we're going to need to really do early to keep the base runner thinking the whole time, will he throw over? Will he won't? Because one big problem that's going to be for certain pitchers, if they don't like to throw over and it becomes very obvious, runners are going to take huge advantage of this.
No question. Especially we talk about the top three in the Diamondbacks order. Those guys will be running with reckless abandon. But yeah, look, there is going to be some strategy involved for sure. I think Max Scherzer said it best when he said, look, I control it. I control the pace now. Before the batter controlled the pace, now the pitcher, it just depends on your perspective, but the pitcher now controls the pace. So I think pitchers are going to find a way to take advantage of it, maybe run it down, like you said, a little bit. There will be some strategizing for sure with these pitchers come the pitch clock. But right now, I'm not sure who has the advantage early on, but I think the pitchers eventually will have the edge on this.
Yeah, we saw it. It was, I don't know if it still is, Cody, the number one story, Peralta with the Yankees striking out a guy for the Pittsburgh Pirates. It was the top story on MLB.com. They did it in 20 seconds. I mean, he got the ball, boom, 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 less than 20 seconds, strike three. So, kind of like how we see in football. Do you want to snap the ball late? Do you want to snap the ball early? Basketball, we going to move it around and utilize the clock? Or are we going to quick shoot? And if we miss, we get the rebound, put it back out. I mean, how do you utilize time? For the first time in the history of baseball, we're going to see how the clock will be utilized, and you can utilize it slow or fast. You can wait till the 20 seconds are over, or you can get it and go right away as a pitcher. But there will be strategies. Certain players are going to use it to their advantage.
They will, and I also think that I think it'll affect velocity with these bullpen guys. The guys that are in shape, the relievers that are in the best shape, are going to benefit the most from this, because you're going to have, if you have a reliever in there and he's out of shape and he's trying to hustle, he'll lose a couple ticks on his velocity as you get later in his outing. So I think that's going to be a factor too. I think the guys that are in the best shape, it's going to pay off for them the most, especially these late inning high leverage relievers. It's going to help you to be in shape and be able to bust through that.
Well, good news today for the A's. Ramon Laureano is going to be in the lineup. What do we know about the whole lower body injury, as we like to say in hockey? How's he feeling? He's
feeling good. You know, he's excited to get out there, probably have one or two at bats, had some groin tightness, but he's in there and he's excited to get going. He was in great spirits today. He said, I'm ready to go. So he's looking forward to it. And he'll have, as I said, probably one or two at bats, I believe, but just to see him out there and get it going again is going to be really exciting. Manny Pena had some calf tightness, and he's pretty close too, I believe. So that'll be exciting to see him back in the lineup too. I think he's a few days away, I believe.
Yeah, it's just part of spring training, right? We get to a point to where there's the nicks and the dings that you got to deal with health-wise, and guys are going to miss some games, and you just want to get everybody ready to rock, get everybody's bodies ready, make sure everybody's healthy for when you start the season, whether you make the big club or you go to Las Vegas or even to Midland, that you're going to be ready to rock, because obviously we're going to utilize a lot of players. And I talk about this all the time about how spring training's not equal for everybody. If you've got a long-term guaranteed contract, you come to spring training just to get in shape. Well, for the A's, we don't have anybody like that. When you come here to spring training, from the minute you get here to the minute you leave, you're competing for a job. And Ramon Laureano is there because Ramon Laureano got popped for PEDs. He served his suspension. And last year, as we talked to him down there at Hohokam, it was about, I'm coming to prove everybody. I'm proving everybody wrong. I chip on my shoulder, and he didn't play well. So we're kind of in a moment of truth here. Age-wise, he's in his prime. We need to find out who is the real Ramon Laureano.
Yeah, and, and spring training's funny because, look, you don't want it to be so much results-oriented, but some guys are competing for jobs. I'm not saying Ramon is. He's probably starting in the outfield. But for a guy like Pache, who's trying to compete for a job, you talk about, is spring training about results? Well, for some guys it is. He's competing for a job. But yeah, huge year, obviously, goes without saying, for Ramon Laureano. And he's ready to prove the naysayers wrong. He's got a chip on his shoulder right now, and he's ready to dominate. So you want a guy hungry like that going in. So we'll see what happens. But I think he's definitely got a good spirit to him right now. I mean, he's so happy to be back in there, and he's hopefully is able to roll this year, because the A's certainly need him.
I tell you what, I get excited when I hear the name Kyle Muller. I get excited. I think 6'7". I think nasty. I think a guy that can go once every 5 days. I don't want to hear about a 6-man rotation. I want a 5-man rotation, and I want guys that can go every 5 days. I get excited. When you hear Kyle Muller, do you get excited?
Yes, I do. Big 6'7", 250-pound guy with great stuff. And, look, as I said, I was talking to Vinny earlier about it. Look, he's a guy that had, a little failure early with the Braves. I think it's going to propel him. It's going to motivate him. He knows he's a big league pitcher. I heard you talk with David Forrest about the confidence he has. He's got that confidence. He's going to go in, and he wants to go. He doesn't want to go in and pitch well. He wants to absolutely dominate. And this guy's A+ makeup. I mean, that goes without saying. And the fact that he's, today he's working with Soderstrom, but he's worked with Langoliers before, and he's just got a great attitude, and he's ready to dominate. He's ready to go in and dominate, and I think he's primed and ready to do that. So I'm looking forward to today. Last time he pitched, it was exciting just to watch his stuff. Watch him upsetting the timing of the hitters. And look, it was his first outing, right? So he'll be kind of extended, I think, between 40 and 50, I believe, today. So we'll see a little bit more from Kyle Muller. And then as we get into mid-March, that's the exciting part. You get into mid-March and get March 18th, March 20th, then the guys get where they're throwing 55, 60, 65, 70 pitches. And then we're getting close to opening day. So I'm looking forward to this start and see what Muller can do.
Soderstrom catching, I know everybody's talking about his future is not behind the dish, but just the fact that here he is catching in big league camp. I mean, technically you're playing against big leaguers. I mean, to have a third catcher on your team, I just think later on, when you think about versatility is the name of our game, how many positions can you play? Like our third catcher was Chad Pinder, right? And everybody went, oh, Chi can catch. And then we had Pinder on the program, and I started talking about it. He went, no. That is like worst case scenario, me being behind the dish. That will not be the case with Soderstrom. So that means you'd have a lot of we don't have a lot of flexibility with our bench anymore because we carry 13 pitchers. So if you got a guy like Soderstrom who he's playing first base and all of a sudden you need to pinch hit your backup catcher, knowing that you now can take Soderstrom and make him your catcher. I mean, having a legit 3-guy catching group and Soderstrom being that third guy who can play first or the outfield, man, that would really help your versatility.
It would. I don't know where he is down the road. I mean, he could be a first baseman down the road, but you're right. That does help having him as an emergency catcher in situations like that. I don't know if you want to put him back there, just how valuable he is just with the bat. And because I don't know. What do I know? But I think he's probably a first baseman of the future, but he obviously can catch. But the bat, just what we've seen from the bat lately, Townie, with him just in these spring training games. And I know it's spring training, but, he came in, he was a triple shy of the cycle. He didn't even start the game. He came in the 5th inning, had a single, double, and a home run. And the bat, look, it's going to play. And he's a pure hitter. And I like to see him wherever he plays, whether it's catcher, first base, the outfield, whatever. I mean, I've not played the outfield most likely, but I just want to see him hit, because he can flat out hit. But you're right. Just having the ability to catch, having that third catcher is a benefit for sure. But I see him as a first baseman.
Oh, I agree. But I just know with the way we are and the way our roster works, we need everybody. I mean, to have one guy, I mean, it was great having Olsen and Chapman, but that's not here now, right? And I hope Soderstrom becomes that guy, but I don't know. If Noda keeps hitting and he's not out of option and he's out of options, and he wins this job. Flexibility, I think, for all of our players with the way that we have to build a 26-man roster and we only have 13 position players, it's like the Tony Kemp theory. Bring 3-4 gloves to the yard because you never know where you're playing.
Exactly. You have a ton of guys on this team that can play a variety of positions. Ledmus Diaz, Jace Peterson. Guys can play all over the place. Nick Allen, he can move back and forth between second and short. Tony Kemp, the outfield and the infield. So I think that's really, really exciting. Just these guys can play all over the place. And I know Cody talks about will we have positionless baseball? I don't think we're going to get that far, but I do think that just having a bunch of guys that can play a variety of positions, that's where baseball's gone to. We've seen it in the minor leagues. See guys go up and they can play 3 or 4 or 5 positions, and it's only going to benefit guys, and especially a team like the A's. It's going to help them this year with these guys playing all over the place.
All right. After this, you're getting on the plane. You're heading to Las Vegas. You're going to go to the Aviators ballpark. Now, for us, when we went there last time, we were like, ooh, this is new. For you, you've done a bazillion games there. Tell us just offensively how crazy that ballpark is, because the box scores, wow.
It is, Townie. It's a hitter's paradise, even more so than Cashman Field. I thought Cashman Field was a hitter's paradise. This is even more of a hitter's paradise. So it should be. We may see we see a 14-14 game the other day. We may see something like that at this ballpark, because the ball just absolutely flies. You talk about big league hitters going in there hitting absolute bombs. So it's going to be fun. I mean, just like the other Pacific Coast League teams in Salt Lake, or stadiums, I should say, like Salt Lake and Albuquerque and El Paso and Reno. I mean, they're Cracker Jack boxes. This one is a state-of-the-art AAA facility, beautiful facility, but the ball will fly. It's a pitcher's nightmare there. So hopefully the A's can get some outs there and have some fun, but we will see some offense, no question about it.
Rumor has it last time you were there, you were 3 for 4 with 2 doubles.
That's what they're saying. They scored one there. I was 2 for 4, but I took a pitch the other way. I played pretty well there. Thanks. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
well, I mean, it's an offensive ballpark. When you're doing the play-by-play there, okay. Let's just say you're in Reno, you're in Salt Lake, you're in I know New Mexico, the Albuquerque. When you're calling games at these parks and you're in elevation, you're in desert, you're in wind, does everything look like it's a home run? Like even like routine pop-ups, you think, oh, this could be out. I mean, what's that like as a play-by-play guy?
You do get conditioned, but you kind of have to wait. You kind of have to wait just a millisecond before you kind of watch the outfielders, because you can be fooled on balls. You know, I know that the last time in 2012 when I went to Fenway and Vinny said, you know, get up to the box during batting practice because you're going to be fooled by some of these fly balls, and some of these places in the big leagues are really high. So, and you know, you kind of have to be patient with it and kind of look at the outfielders and watch the ball. But it's you get conditioned in these hitter-friendly ballparks. These balls are all going to go out of the ballpark for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. You can't go swung on and belted on. Oh, it's a routine fly ball to right.
It's part of it. It's part of it. I know the feeling.
I know, yeah. So you're going to have day games in Vegas. Any nice plans Saturday night? You're in Vegas. I mean, they've got 8 million restaurants and shows. What's Johnny D going to be doing in Sin City?
Well, Johnny D is going to be hanging with his wife and kid. They had plans to come out here to Phoenix this weekend, and then when the plans changed, they changed their flight to Vegas. My daughter's 17, never been to Vegas, so we're going to have a couple nice dinners on Friday and Saturday, and look forward to. I haven't seen them in a while, so I look forward to seeing my wife and kid and having a good time walking around the Strip. It's going to be fun.
Well, that's the thing too, right? Now, you know, with teenagers, there's actually things like I said, the shows. There's actually things you can do in Vegas that you can do with your teenagers and fun that you can have with your wife. I mean, you're not going to go on. You're not going to have a good dinner. You can find great. I mean, it's the best place to eat in the country. There's more better. There's the best chefs technically in the world are in Las Vegas. So there's a lot of fun to be had.
There is, Townie. Another thing too, I'll probably save money by my wife and kid coming. I won't be at the tables, so it'll be nice. So it'll be really a money saving trip for me. Not going to play 3-card or blackjack or craps. This is actually it'll be a kind of a cost free trip. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, I wanted to ask. No wife. What is your game?
You know what? I've been in a 3-card lately. I do like 3-card. I will play some blackjacks and some craps, but 3-card has been my game lately, and it's obviously all luck. There's no skill involved at all. But I guess the skill would be to leave when you're ahead, which is the most difficult thing to do in Vegas. But yeah, that's probably my game lately. I kind of got out of blackjack for a few years. I'm kind of back into that too, but I do like craps. When you're rolling on craps, that's the best. No question about it.
Blackjack is just never works out.
Yeah.
It just never works. You know, my late father would always say that they didn't build those places in the middle of the desert where there is no water because they lose.
No question. Yeah. That's how they build those casinos. That's exactly right. No question.
And let's end on this. Kansas City. They got a lot of young talent. I don't know who's in the lineup today. Nothing's been posted, but they're an interesting team to watch. I don't know what they do in the Central, but when they show up for a 3-game set, they're going to have a lot of moving parts with a lot of athleticism and speed. And that Bobby Witt kid can play a little bit at short.
No question. Bobby Witt Jr. I mean, you got to remember this guy has not played that much baseball. He's played like 1 year minor league baseball. The pandemic hit. He went up to the big leagues. He had 20 home runs. He's going to have a monster year this year. MJ Melendez is a stud. He had 100 hits last year. They have some good young talent. Pretty good rotation too, led by Brady Singer and of course Zach Greinke and Jordan Lyles. So they have some pitching there too. I mean, they may win 73, 74 games at the most, but it's going to be an exciting team for sure. And I'm looking forward to seeing them today. Brad Keller's getting the start today. He moved to the bullpen in August last year. So we'll see what Brad Keller does against the A's today.
All right, buddy. You have a good call today.
All right. Thanks, Townie. Good to talk to you.
Johnny D on the spot, getting us ready for a little A's baseball. Don't be selling me your Zach Greinke garbage with Kansas City. That is just, I don't even know why they signed him. I don't know what he's going to bring. It's not like he puts butts in the seats or he's like the great ambassador for your franchise. Why would you sign Zach Greinke? Why? What is the advantage of signing him?
Leader in the clubhouse.
He didn't talk to anybody.
But I don't know. The Athletics been doing a special on him about some of the stories from, and they're I guess that they want the Athletic to keep the players in the clubhouse want them to keep doing more because there's so many good stories from Greinke just from last year with the Royals.
Just crazy. He's crazy.
I mean, we remember when he when he played for Houston, and he would sit in the stands by himself during the pandemic season. He's a bizarre guy, but he's very
good.
He's
brutally honest with guys. So you want the super. Okay, maybe that's not appropriate. How do I want to put it? You want the super different guy who can be cruel being the leader in your clubhouse?
Why not? Toughen him up.
Oh, now you want to go old school.
Yeah, that's what they need. By the way, let me ask you, another buying or selling. Buying or selling, Zach Greinke will reach 3,000 strikeouts this season.
You know what? I don't know.
He's 118
and
away.
I don't care.
Well, that'll solidify him for the Hall of Fame.
He's not in already? Isn't he a 70-something WAR?
76 and a half.
He's in.
Yeah, but he's 118 away from.
If you're going to put Scott Rowland in, that's going to be the new thing.
Well,
I've had multiple friends, longtime baseball guys. They played baseball. I mean, like yesterday. I played golf yesterday after the show, and I played with 3 ex-minor league baseball players. All right? You respect guys who play in the minors.
Yes.
Guys had talent. My buddy Dave Sick, who was our ace. Craig Constantino, who was one of the great power hitters in San Jose State history. He's 6'5". He looks like a defensive end. He's huge. Yeah. And the consensus for everybody gets brought up all the time. Scott Rowland's a Hall of Famer?
Well, when you and Ryan Spielbergs were talking about it yesterday about Todd Helton, he was like, well, look at his road splits, and we did it. We already did it.
Scott Rowland's career stats, Todd Helton is at stat. If you look at Helton's career road statistics, they're equal with Rowland's career statistics. Think about that. So you go, well, what do you do off the mountain? What do you do off out of Coors Field? He basically was Scott Rowland on the road.
Yeah, he was a career, I think, 287 hitter on the road.
And I don't want to disparage Scott Rowland. I mean, Scott Rowland still to this day, I just don't think, wow. When you got to dig down deep to justify it, once again, there's different Hall of Famers, and Scott Rowland's in, he's in. But if Scott Rowland's a Hall of Famer, Zach Greinke's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Greinke's going to get in.
Please.
But he's 118 away from 3,000, which, I mean, if you're on
Is there anybody on the 3,000 list that's not in the Hall of Fame?
Roger Clemens.
Oh, God, I hate when you people do that. Barry Bonds.
That's
Pete Rose.
3,000.
You know probably who wasn't? Well, for a long time was Burt Blyleven.
Correct.
Burt Blyleven took forever. Yeah, how about that? Burt Blyleven probably has close to 4,000 strikeouts, and he couldn't get in. But you're going to put Scott Rowland in?
19 guys have done it. And let's see. Okay, Clemens is number 3. He's not in. Blyleven.
Wait, where's Blyleven? Go back up.
He's 5th.
Burt Blyleven is 5th in strikeouts, and it took him to what, like the 14th try?
Yeah, he just got in recently, a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, what a joke.
Let's see. Everyone else.
You talked about how big strikeouts were.
Everyone else is on here. Fergie Jenkins is in. Pedro's in. Bob Gibson's in. Chilling. That's 2. CC, but he will get in, most likely. And John Smoltz in.
Think about that.
There's going to be 2 more guys that probably one for sure does this year. Kershaw's right there, too.
Okay, well, Verlander's on the list. He's going in.
Yeah.
Scherzer's on the list. He's going in.
Correct.
There's going to be 2 guys on the list that don't go in. One is going to be Roger Clemens, PEDs. The other is going to be Curt Schilling, which is not PEDs. It's politics.
Yes.
Politics. Political views. It will be why Curt Schilling, which led to some anger stuff, obviously. But that's why he's not in. Not PEDs. So you're going to have actually guys. It took forever to get Burt Blyleven in, who what did you say? He's 5th or 4th all-time in strikeouts?
5th all-time.
Can you imagine that? The guy that was 5th all-time in strikeouts couldn't get in.
It's incredible.
And Scott Rowland's in.
Yeah. Kershaw is 100.
Edgar Martinez is in.
Yeah.
A guy that only DH'd. You're telling me Big Papi, who couldn't play defense, who is completely linked to PEDs, who was a terrible player in Minnesota, and then all of a sudden, wham, became a superstar.
They're like 26.
And everybody tries to figure out a way to protect him. And Burt Blyleven, who, by the way, when he got on the ballot, where did he rank in strikeouts? He was probably higher.
Yeah, because let's see. Here's the guy. The guys ahead of him were obviously
Nolan Ryan. I think you've heard of him.
Steve Carlton is fourth. Clemens, Randy Johnson, and Nolan Ryan.
Okay, so when Burt Blyleven got on the ballot, Randy Johnson was still playing. So Burt Blyleven would have been third.
Yeah, Clemens was still playing too.
So he was third.
Would have been, yeah.
So a guy that was third in the history of baseball in strikeouts couldn't get in the Hall of Fame?
I think there's a Steve. I think I have a factoid about Steve Carlton. I think that's who it was that they talked about.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Oh, here you go. 40 years ago today, Steve Carlton agreed to a 4-year contract for a total of $4.15 million, making him the highest paid pitcher in Major League Baseball history. He was great in 1983, good in 84, okay in 85, and toast by 1986. Still, this contract represents about 2/3 of his total career earnings. This is from High Heat Stats on Twitter. 40 years ago today, he agreed to a 4-year, $4.15 million.
That's a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan was the first $1 million guy.
Yeah, so I told.
That's a lot of money back then.
My wife's grandfather.
A lot of money today, but that was a lot of money back then. And by the way, that makes sense to me because that would have been the height of Steve Carlton. I was in junior high, and so I remember as a little kid the 1980 World Series. I remember it. But, you know, we in the West Coast didn't get a whole lot of Phillies games. You know, Tug McGraw, Larry Boa. I mean, we didn't get a lot of that. So by the time we started getting more games, Steve Carlton wasn't the same guy as I got older. But as a kid, you knew he was great. You just didn't see him a lot.
Yeah. He was a great pitcher. I mean, obviously he's in the top 5.
Steve Carlton's slider was just filthy. There's certain, when Eno Saris goes stuff plus, there's certain guys, you want to know what stuff plus is when you can get on the mound and you can tell people what's coming and they can't hit it. That's stuff plus. I'm going to let everybody know this is what I'm doing, right? And you can't hit it, that's stuff plus.
There was something else I was going to bring up before we close. Oh, we didn't get to this yesterday. I'll bring it up quickly because we didn't get to it yesterday. About spring training numbers with a pitch timer.
Oh, yeah.
Let me, the old playbook.
Games are going fast, and it's great.
The numbers are as of through February 28th. The playbook is loading here.
Do you want me to get it? Because mine's ready to rock.
I have it right here.
Right.
Okay. So far in spring training, like as I said, the games, this is through February 28th, so it would have been Tuesday. Players were hitting .272 with an average of 11.9 runs scored per game. That's up from a batting average of .259 and 10.6 runs through the same period in 2021. So the new rules are helping. The average game time through February 28th was 2 hours and 39 minutes. That's down from 3:01 over the same stretch last spring. And shifting, there's a whole thing about shifting, but the shiftings are down. Now there's more hits. As you see, the average 272 opposed to 259 last year.
But Tim Kirchin, he talked to a future Hall of Famer, and the future Hall of Famer gave his opinion, and we're supposed to care because of the future Hall of Famer.
You know how many of these guys are going to be completely wrong? People, I'm not sure stolen bases are going to be up that much. I'm not sure how much that shifting is going to work. I don't know this. I don't know that. You're going to see numbers go up. How about this? Production goes up, time goes down. The exact thing that baseball wanted to happen. You're going to have more action, and you're going to have games that go at a lesser time. And I'm trying to explain to people that even like the guys I played golf with yesterday, are we sure we need this? I'm like, yeah, because you know what? A lot of people say Tuesday night, I can't be there for 3.5 hours. I can be there for 2 hours, 2 hours and 15. So on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's shorter games will mean more people can come to the ballpark. But you wait. All these people went, I'm not so sure this is really going to do much. You wait. Numbers are going up. Time of game going down. All great news. As Marty Lurie said, the most interesting year in the history of baseball. We got to go?
We got to go, yeah.
A's Royals next. We'll see you next Tuesday right here on A's Cast Live.
It's that time of the year. Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2023 season. Secure your tickets for some of the biggest matchups, fireworks, drone shows, giveaways, and more. From